Open your phone right now. Look at your contact list. Scroll and keep scrolling. Hundreds of names, maybe thousands of followers somewhere else. On paper, you are connected to more people than anyone who has ever lived. But the real answer is far stranger. Because almost none of them are real to you. Not the way your brain measures real. Strip away the names you never call and the faces you would not recognize on the street, and what remains is a small, stubborn circle. For most people, the very center holds about 5. 5? That is not an accident. It is one of the most consistent numbers in human science. Your brain is running an ancient program, and it decided long ago how many people you are built to truly hold. This is the story of why. It begins with an Oxford anthropologist named Robin Dunbar. In the 1990s, he studied monkeys and apes and noticed something strange. The more social a species was, the more time it spent grooming, picking through another animal's fur, one companion at a time. Grooming was not about cleanliness, it was about trust. But grooming has a limit. There are only so many hours in a day. So Dunbar asked a simple question: what sets the size of a social world? He found the answer in the brain. In the neocortex, the outer layer that handles thought and understanding other minds. He compared its size across primate species to the size of their groups. The pattern was almost a straight line. Bigger social brain, bigger group. Then he plugged in the human number. The answer was roughly 150. That is the Dunbar number, the rough maximum of stable, meaningful relationships you can hold at once. Beyond it, faces blur into the crowd. But 150 is not one crowd. It is rings, one inside the other, like a tree. And the tightest ring at the center holds about 5. Dunbar and researchers like Sam Roberts mapped these layers. 5 in the innermost ring, 15 in the next, 50 beyond that. Then the full 150. Each ring 3 times wider than the one inside it. The inner 5 have a name. Your support clique. The people you would call at 3 in the morning. The ones whose bad news lands in your own chest. Why 5? Because closeness is expensive. Not in money, in time. Dunbar found that the strength of a bond tracks how much time you pour into it. Let contact fade and the bond drifts outward. A friendship is not a fact you store. It is a fire you feed, and you only have so much fuel. Pull one person into the center, and someone else slides toward the edge. Your social world runs on a fixed budget. Now follow that backward. For almost all of human history, your ancestors lived in small bands. A few dozen faces, seen every day, from birth to death. Anthropologists like Corin Apicella, who studied the Hadza of Tanzania, find the same shapes still alive. Small clusters held by a handful of deep bonds. In that world, 5 was everything. 5 who shared food when your hunt failed. 5 who guarded your children. 5 who carried you home. A person with no inner circle did not just feel lonely. They did not survive. So your brain learned to treasure the few. That machinery never switched off. It runs in you right now in a city of millions, behind a screen full of names. Here is where it turns cold. Dunbar studied online networks, where people collect thousands of so-called friends. No matter how huge the list grew, the number they actually leaned on stayed the same. The platform changed, the brain did not. You can have 5,000 followers and only 5 people who would notice if you went silent for a month. That gap between how connected you look and how connected you feel lives in your chest. You have felt it in a crowded room, surrounded by people, and still alone. That is not a flaw. It is your ancient wiring checking the inner ring and finding it half empty. So stop measuring your worth by a follower count. Your brain was never built to feel. The number that matters was never the big one. It was always the 5. But those rings are not fixed. Without contact, they decay on a schedule. Leave the inner 5 untended, and within months, they drift away. The center empties quietly while you are busy. So the most important social act of your life is also the simplest. Calling, showing up, giving your scarce attention to the few who hold the center, not the crowd, the handful. So open your phone again. Look at the hundreds of names. Scroll and keep scrolling. Then put it down and go call one of the 5.